Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, and tonight I will be giving my thoughts on the brand new film, the kind of sequel to the TV series, People Just Do Nothing Big in Japan. This is without a doubt one of the most interesting comedies of the year for me, sort of really quickly jumping into things in terms of hype, in terms of watching the show and stuff like that. So I'm excited to get into this one. It's going to be a really fun one to cover. I think it's going to be one a lot of people talk about actually for quite a while to come. However, before I get into that, as I mentioned, this was a TV show. I want to hear from you guys at home. Comment below your thoughts on People Just Do Nothing. Of course, this is the TV show. The film is out now. You're more than welcome to put spoilers in this. I'm not too fussed. I'm not going to speak about many of them, but let me know your thoughts on the series, some of your favorite characters, some of your favorite episodes or moments. It's an absolutely incredible show. So I just want to get that out there. Do let us know your thoughts. Hit that like button. Do subscribe. It's not often we get to talk about comedies on the channel. We know they're very hard to cover, as me and Chris have always said before. So do comment your thoughts and we'll reply to all of this messages. And if you are new to the channel, just finding out what we do. Of course, we're a film channel. We've got a lot of other things, and some of our videos don't get announced in advance. Some can come and go as and when. So we've got a couple to announce at the end of this video, but if you don't follow us on social media, it's the best way to hit us up. We're very active on there, a lot more than we used to be, announcing shows left, right, and centre, replying to everybody as well. So that's Facebook, Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy, letterbox.com/cinema savvy. Of course, we've got a TeePublic store in the link below. But we are here to talk about People Just Doing Things Big in Japan, and the best way to kickstart this, I think, is talking about the show. And this is something where I'm not going to give a review on the TV show, so don't worry, guys. There's plenty of this, but I always call this the victim of BBC Three. That for those unfamiliar with the sort of broadcasting rights, I think this is a show that a lot of people saw. Well, they had to watch it online. It wasn't really on TV until I think the final season on BBC Two. But when BBC Three moved online, there was a humongous drop off, certainly in our age demographic, and I think there was a lot of great comedies that got lost. And BBC Three was famous for its comedies. It was an atrocious decision by the BBC, and they're paying the price for it. And I think People Just Do Nothing was the biggest loss from that. It became very successful. It's become very famous. It's got a film. It's had BAFTAs, but then a lot of the cast have moved on to bigger things. But this show should have been as big as the In-Betweeners and shows like that. But by not putting it on TV, it missed out on a whole demographic, which was a massive shame. And I really want to get out there because it aggravates me whenever I think about it. But the actual series is phenomenal. The quality is great. The writing is superb. The characters are interesting, likable, lovable. Even the ones you don't like, you still care for in some degree. And it's just so well written. I can't take any credit away from it. It's honestly been one of those rare sitcoms where it sticks with you. You can watch it as many times as you want. And I've always said on this channel that mockumentaries are my favorite comedy genre. So potentially I'm a little bit biased, but in terms of a mockumentary format, it is superb. So if you've never watched the show, but you have seen the film, please check the show out. It is really interesting. And you don't need to watch the show to watch this film as well. In case you haven't seen that, you can enter this film not knowing the show, and it puts you in the limelight. It speeds you up. You get to figure out the characters in the first couple of minutes. So you're not missing a lot by not seeing the show. That being said, obviously I want to talk about the plot. If you're not familiar with the title by now, of course, Big in Japan's a bit of a giveaway, and we've got the IMDb synopsis here. It's after Brentford's largest pirate radio has ended, the boys from Kurupt FM find their way to Japan on an epic adventure in search of fortune and fame. The ultimate comedy. I think you can say when you've got so many TV shows grounded in reality, making the jump to film is so hard to do. To make it memorable, to make it different, I'll cite the In-Betweeners again. I don't like either of the In-Betweeners films. I loved the series. I think the series is very, very funny, but I just never took to either of the films. Yeah, you get shows like, well, oh God, I forgot Kevin and Perry's show, the sketch show. The fact that Kevin and Perry became characters from that got their own film, Kevin and Perry Go Large, is a classic, and that was something different, taking them, putting them on holiday, and it was the perfect way for those characters to grow and have this big kind of farewell. And I think In-Betweeners copied that way too much. It was the exact same concept with just going on holiday, and it was a very similar story and all that kind of stuff. Whereas that had me worried for People Just Do Nothing. And this is what's been really interesting about it, was that when they said it would be in Japan, I just kind of sat there and thought, right, this is about right. If you've got a failed radio station, if it was going to get big in any country in this kind of, what could go viral and be a sensation, you would look to Japanese culture for that. And this one explores, I'm going to talk about Japan a little bit later on because it's really interesting, but the concept of these failed group of people are actually a sensation in another country is so interesting. And if you take the characters as individuals as well, and you place them in those Japanese surroundings, it has so much more potential than, you know, here's a lad's holiday to Greece or to any of those kind of things. And I think that's where it boils down for me with this film, that this was a continuation, like an epilogue to the story that we've seen on TV for years, where so many ones just feel like a bit of like add-on DLC. This felt like it stayed consistent to the original tone, to what the story was, the message was. It stayed true to the characters. It didn't deviate too much. It was a natural progression, and it was a really nice way to see them all back together on the big screen. And one of the comparisons I'm going to make, I think, probably the most successful film from a comedic character or characters making it on the big screen is Alan Partridge Alpha Papa. By far, probably the biggest character from British comedy, you could argue, in terms of just character, not the actor. And that film is very much a genre film with Alan Partridge in it, which is a really interesting dynamic. Whereas this film is obviously a still the mockumentary format, but this is what happens so many years later. So it's really interesting, and this is where I'm kind of thinking of this. And before I sort of give some sort of deep thoughts, so I'm going to bring up some of the characters as well. If you're obviously familiar with these, I'm not going to go through the team. I'm just going to talk about the Kurupt FM guys mainly. Obviously, you've got MC Grinder, Beats, Steves, Deacon. Those, they are still great. The comedy still works great. The characters feel right. They're all being performed well still. No one feels noticeably different. Again, it's that natural progression. And I'd say the same for the supporting ones of Chibodi G, who is superb, I'll get to, and obviously Misha as well. It's really nice to see them back together. And again, taking them into that Japanese environment, you kind of wonder how will their characters react. Will some thrive? Will some fail? Or what's going to be the sort of the obstacles along the way? And I think this film delivered with that. It's not easy to do something like that, to put it in another country, but they did it, and I think they did it superbly. So full credit again to the writing. I know that Lee Brazer, Adam Mustafa, Azim Chowdhury, they're all involved, and Jack Cliff's obviously the director who directed a lot of the series as well. So it is something where it felt true to the characters. The last thing you want is a film adaptation of a series, and none of it feels like it did before. You know, a lot of people liked the Breaking Bad film they did. I thought was very, very average. It just felt like a bit of bonus at the end, and you know, this one feels like this was a grandiose occasion for this team. And I know in real life they actually go to music festivals and stuff in Carrots now, which is just incredible to think of how a show can do that. But sort of touching on the Japan theme, this is where I'm kind of interested. I read a couple of reviews tonight after I've got back. I only got back about an hour ago, and I saw some critics criticizing the Japanese stuff playing off stereotypes, and I kind of sat thinking, I mean, this film is not racist at all. You know, when they announced this film with this kind of show, this is you would expect racism, and that sounds horrible, but you don't. They don't ever do it, and this film pays tributes that by let's place these idiots, these uneducated people, people who have a clue what they're doing. Let's take them in such an advanced city like Tokyo and see how they do. And I think some of the comedy is amazing. It's consistent. So you know, there's scenes where they walk into rooms and they take their shoes off, and you know the people like, you don't need to do that. And there's no other way around. There's not other people telling them take your shoes off. That's how we do it here. This is kind of these dumb guys associating stereotypes to the city, and it's really interesting to see how it approaches the Japan side of things, where you know you've got all these sort of like Japanese boy bands and things like that. And they've obviously got all the dyed hair, all that kind of sort of anime style stuff, and you know, the Kurupt FM guys, they're never clueless. They're just kind of sat there like, what is this? And I think there's a really great one liner where someone's dyed his hair red, and he goes, you know, over in our country we associate ginger people with weakness. And it's really funny seeing how they're interacting with the Japanese surroundings, which I think could have been a massive issue, but the writing is so well done. It kind of plays advantage to all of it. And I think that would have been a danger if this film could have deviated and just been, you know, Japan is bad at this, Japan is good at this. And as I mentioned, the whole point of the film is that one of their songs went viral in Japan. Of course, it's I mean, I don't know the full title. It's Lyrical Blows the Jaw, the one from the series, the main one, and it's being used on a Japanese game show, and it plays the game show, which is amazing. If you've ever seen like Takeshi's Castle, like any of this kind of game shows, it essentially does that, and it's a song used for whenever someone gets eliminated, and it's really well done. And the whole concept that essentially the Japanese business people are going to come in and convert Kurupt FM into this sort of Japanese boy band image. And this is where Chibodi G comes into it, who is the, I mean, there's a lot of shining stars in this, but Azam Chowdhury's clearly had the biggest career out of these so far. Chibodi G is an icon. He's been in that character for so many different things, like Chicken Shop Dates, all those kind of things. And even Wonder Woman last year, when he popped up, and I said to Chris that how is Chubuddy G in Wonder Woman? Not a criticism of Chubuddy G, but it's like that's how big he's got, so everyone wants him and everything. So Chubuddy is superb in this, as are the rest of the group, but have to give a special shout out to him. He is never not fantastic. Everything he does, his line deliveries, his mannerisms, he's such a perfect character. And I'd say he's a comedy legend as well. You'll take sitcom characters as the years go by, and Chubuddy G will be someone that everybody always speaks about. And I said the rest of them are great, but Chubuddy G has always been the standout star from this, and I think that needs to be brought up. And with that, I'm going to talk about the legacy of this film. Obviously, we don't have a clue about box office. I don't know the budget. We won't know that until later on. But I came out of this and instantly thought, I will be traumatized if this doesn't get nominated for Best British Film at the BAFTAs. Now, that's a very tall claim to make in August after seeing a film for the first time, but the way the BAFTAs work, the way this film is written, everything about this, if there isn't a nomination, I would honestly be shocked. And I would go as far as say this could even sneak in on the adapted screenplay. The writing is that well done. It's superb. It's interesting. There's heart to it. There's reality to it. And at the end of the day, you're going to a comedy. And what do you want from a comedy? You want to laugh. I was laughing so much in this, and a lot of people were laughing in the cinema. And you sometimes go to comedies and you get an odd laugh here or there, or people might think it's funny internally, but people were roaring with laughter around the screen. And I'd say it's about a third full, which isn't bad for its third day, late showing as well. So it's one of them where it's certainly something I think a lot of people will watch eventually. I think this will grow with cult status with word of mouth. But when it gets to February time and those nominations come out, don't be surprised if this is nominated for a couple of BAFTAs. It won't be Oscars. Of course, this is a British production. It'll be very British biased, but I would be honestly shocked if they didn't, especially with the history it's had at the TV BAFTA. So I really wanted to bring that up. Obviously, you can't tell now. I've obviously had a very fun time watching this film. My sort of final thoughts is that if you just want to watch a laugh out loud comedy, something a bit different. If you want to see some returning characters you've seen, or if you want to see something new, this is the film for you. There is absolutely no fault as far as I'm concerned with this. This is one of my favorite films of the year so far. I want to touch that, and I think it's what we need now. We've reached a point where we're getting cinemas back open again, and there are so many horror films, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we're getting some of the bigger budget films slowly coming out, but drip in a comedy here and there. Let's watch something a bit different. And I think the timing was right for this film to come out. There's been a big enough gap since the show has gone, and there's been so many films out of the cinema recently where we could have just done with a nice comedy to go with it, and I think absolutely deserved on that. So 4 marks from me. A wonderful experience to be able to see this, and I can't wait to see it again. I will be seeing this film again at the cinema as well. Such a laugh with it. So that is my recommendation. That is my review on People Just Do Nothing Big in Japan. Go and see it. Watch the TV series as well. You will not regret it. It's so bingeable. You can get it done so quickly, and it will just make for one great sitting through and through. And if you're into music, I think they keep doing festivals. And before COVID, they were planning on doing a Kurupt FM, like an away weekend as well, which was insane. So follow them on social media. I think they've even got a vinyl record dropping at this point in time. So it is one of them, definitely worth following up. And as I said, I'm just going to keep heaping praise on it. So that's just kind of pointless to carry on in this sense. But I want to hear from you guys below. Comment below your thoughts on People Just Do Nothing. Anything you didn't like about it, anything you loved, characters you love, anyone that didn't come back you wish could have seen come back. I think they are their due, so I can't complain on that front. But that is everything I'm going to say on this. I'm also going to tease. I mentioned there's a couple of other films out. Me and Chris will be doing a reminiscence review this Monday, the 23rd of August. We're looking forward to that one. I saw the film earlier today. Very, very interesting. A lot to say on that one. So do check that one out. That's going to be with us this Monday. And of course, the Bond retrospective continues this Tuesday. The World Is Not Enough. We're going to be joined by Really 007 as we continue the Bond retrospective. So a very personal film for me. I'll be going into a lot of that when we are recording it, when we get it up on the channel. So Bond still here for the next couple of weeks on Tuesdays. Of course, new releases as well, as we've said. And if you want to hit us up on our social medias, we've got them below. Facebook, Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy, letterboxd.com/cinema savvy. And once again, thank you everybody at home for watching, and we'll be sure to see you on the next one. Cheers.